Okay, so this is the 10-1 Try These A that's on page 122 in your textbook. We actually did a couple of these already in our Plickers, but I'm going to go ahead and work them all for you again anyways, just because this is things that students forget to write down in their composition book when we do them in class. So I'm just going to do A, B, C, D, and E, just, like I said, make sure we know what we're doing here. So the directions are to solve each of the following algebraically using inverse operations. Just a reminder, inverse operations means the opposite operation that will undo what is currently happening. So for A, it says 2x plus 0.4 equals 18. So the first thing I have to do is see if there's any distribution, and there is not. I then need to see if I need to collect like terms on each side. This has x's and just normal numbers, so they cannot be combined. They are not alike. And then this one is all by itself, so there's nothing else to combine here. Step 3 says to add and subtract to get all your variables on one side. Variables are already on one side, so I'm already on step 4 and I haven't even done anything. Step 4 says to get all your numbers on the other side. Well, if x's are on the left here, then I need to get all my numbers on the right. And the way to do that is to do the inverse operation of addition, which is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract this 0.4 from both sides. And that will give me 2x, because this cancels out, right? Gives me 2x equals, and then 18 minus 0.4 is 17.6. You can do that in your calculator if you're not sure. And now all I can do is multiply or divide, depending on what's happening to the x, to solve. So this is 2 times x. Remember, when they're next to each other, that means multiply. So in order to undo multiplication, the inverse operation is divide by the same number. That makes a 1x. And if I put 17.6 divided by 2 in my calculator, I get 8.8. I believe that is the one that we did in Plickers, or one of the ones. Okay, so B says, B says the same thing. So I'm going to solve. This is negative 1/3 x minus 4 equals 12. So again, I can straight jump to step 4 on the step chart that we made in our composition book, which is add and subtract to get all the numbers on the opposite side of the variable. So I'm going to add 4 because that is the inverse operation of subtraction. I'm going to bring, this cancels out, so I'm going to bring down my negative 1/3 x, and then this 12 plus 4, 16. Now here's where we get a little crazy. I need to do the inverse operation of negative 1/3 times x. So we can divide by negative 1/3. The easier thing to do, though, is to multiply by the reciprocal when you have a fraction. It's a time saver, so if you can please remember that, it will really make your life a lot simpler. I have a fraction that's being multiplied to x, so I multiply by the flipped reciprocal, which would be negative 3/1. The reason for that is this gives me a positive 1. When I'm done, I can cancel because 3 and 3 go into each other evenly, and that's 1, so that gives me x. But I also have to do it on this side. Now, negative 3/1 is the same as negative 3. So negative 3 times 16 will give me negative 48. Okay, I'm going to circle my answers. Okay, now I'm skipping the check step for now, but remember, back here I would need to check my answer. That means, let me just do this one for you. Everywhere there's an x, I put in the answer that I got and make sure that it's true. So if I do 2 times 8.8, that gives me 17.6. If I add that to 0.4, that gives me 18, and 18 equals 18, so my check step works. So that's what your check steps should look like all the way down. I'm trusting that I'm getting the right answer because I've already worked these about 6 times. So again, if you want to check negative 48, you would put it in up here for x and make sure that it gives you 12. Okay, so here I have 1.5 equals 5x minus 2. All my variables are on one side, so I'm already on step 4 on my step chart. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, which gives me 5x here. Now here's where you need to be careful. If you're doing this by hand, I need to line up my decimal points. So this would be 1.5 plus 2.0. So we have to be sure that I get 3.5. Okay, then it says that I'm going to divide because I'm multiplying here. So that gives me x equals, and should be an even number if I remember. Yeah, it's 7. But it would be 0.07 because I have a 1 decimal point. Okay, so again, check your work. All of these are similar, right? I can skip steps 1, 2, and 3 because they're already done for me. So step 4, get my numbers on the same side by doing the opposite operation or the inverse operation. 16 minus 10 is 6. 10 minus 10 is 0, so that gives me my 3x. 3 is being multiplied, so I need to divide. And that gives me x equals 2. Okay. And last but not least, 14 equals 3x minus 2. First step is going to be to add 2 to get rid of that 2. So you see, as I go, I can go faster and faster. The more I practice, the better I get. And 16 divided by 3 does not have an even answer, so my answer is 16 over 3. Okay, there's no decimals in the problem, so I don't need any decimals in my answer. So I'm all done. So that was the Try These A on page 122.